Show.
Back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell in your afternoon drive. Kurt Kaplan, that's the voice you just heard, and he's on the ones and twos,
Kurt!
keeps us on the air. Kurt, how was Plan B last night?
Yeah, how'd the gig go, man?
And popping or what?
Pretty quiet.
Slept with everybody, not partying like they used to.
It was freezing cold last night, too.
It was freezing cold last night, Kurt. That's why it was pretty quiet.
Yeah, and it's also the week after a bunch of holidays, so you know.
Yeah, I think everybody's probably tired of eating out, tired
the streets
of drinking.
were not busy.
Well, the hell with the gig. Tell us about the car. Now, you were dealing with some antifreeze leakage. You didn't know if you were going to blow up on the way to the gig,
Worried about
on the
even
way
getting to
home.
the gig.
Right.
So what happened?
I had enough fluid there. I left a little puddle while I was unloading.
Oh, sorry about that,
And then
parking
filled
lot
that
attendant.
filled that sucker back up and drove back to East Windsor and made it. I had to stop again once on the side of the road and refill it.
Now, we had to send the A-team to pick Kurt up
We
today. He's having car problems. Luckily, yeah, go ahead and play the A-team theme. Oh, you didn't have that queued up? That wasn't...
That wasn't the 18.
Now, Henry had to be, was it Baracus?
Baracus,
Baracus. Henry was Baracus picking up.
Call him Mr. H.
Now,
Yeah, B.A. Baracus with all the chains.
That's right.
What was Kurt again? Kurt's the...
Kurt,
Murdoch.
He's howling Mad Dog Murdoch.
Okay, and I'm Face. I'm
You're
the face.
Face.
I'm the good-looking one, and then you're the old guy.
Yeah.
That's the A-team.
I don't mind.
You got to
I'm the
post a
old guy.
picture of the van somewhere.
Right, so the
Well,
van...
that's the key.
Yes.
Because we have an A-team van.
Yes.
You know, we call it the crime scene van because it's a scary-looking van.
That's the nice name for it.
Yeah, exactly, because this is family radio. But, yeah, I mean, that's how we get our equipment from, A to B.
A big piece of equipment today, Kurt Kaplan.
Kurt Kaplan was our biggest piece of equipment that needed to be moved.
Good to have him here. Have you seen any of the footage from Tyreke Hill's house fire?
Yeah, Tyreke, I feel bad. You wait your whole life to build a nice house and to watch.
Mansion.
It's a mansion.
Beyond a mansion.
And to watch it go up in flames and, like you said, have the news helicopter over it and stuff. The only thing I cared about was the family getting out safe. They did. No firemen were hurt or firewomen were hurt in trying to put out the blaze. As anybody knows that listens to us, my brother was a fireman for 30 years. It's very dangerous, cutting the hole in the roof and stuff like that and trying to put it out. I mean, once it gets that fully involved, it's very dangerous for anybody that's involved, especially the firemen trying to put it out.
Like I said, everybody's fine.
You can rebuild it; it's insured,
Right.
but obviously you don't like to see part of your life go up in flames. So it sucks for Tyreke Hill to see that, and be world news. I mean, that's the worst part about it. I mean, I was just telling you about Hulk Hogan's daughter getting married. She got married a year ago.
Yeah,
she
secret.
covered that up secretly for a year because she didn't want the publicity. This poor dude's house is on fire, and everybody's like, Tyreke Hill, it's all over every freaking news. And I was like, damn, man.
There's a helicopter hovering for an hour, just like a constant stream of footage to the smoke that's coming out of his roof. It's never good timing.
No.
But bad timing during the playoffs when you got to deal
Right.
with all this stuff. Like, he is a huge piece to the puzzle of the Miami Dolphins.
Well, he's
and-
dealing with injuries. He's dealing with his job
Yep.
and worried about my job's to win a Super Bowl and stuff. And then we splash your whole personal life, all over the news and stuff. That definitely not easy. I don't see him as a very public guy to begin with.
So I think I figured it out as far as the must-wins of the weekend in the NFL. I think I have it down. It's going to be very hard to explain. I hope everyone has a pen and paper out to connect the dots. I feel like one of those psychopath detectives that are trying to find the killer, and I got all the corkboard with a bunch of string and tacks up there. So that's what I did last night, and I think I've got it, Dibs. Let's start on Saturday. Pittsburgh has to win. Pittsburgh loses, they're out. Pittsburgh not only has to win, they have to have several things happen in the AFC, mainly the Buffalo Bills losing. But Pittsburgh, to kick things off on Week 18, has to win. Saturday night, Houston versus Indianapolis. This could be the AFC division champ game. The reason I say could be is because Jacksonville owns the tiebreaker over the Texans and the Colts. So no matter what happens with the Texans and the Colts, the winner has a very good shot of making the playoffs. They will make the playoffs if Jacksonville loses to Tennessee. If Jacksonville beats Tennessee, Jacksonville will win the AFC South. Now, hold on. Even if Jacksonville wins the AFC South and you have the winner of the Houston-Indy game sitting there at, I think we're at 10-7 right now, they can still get in, depending on the Steelers, depending on the Bills. Now, sticking with Sunday, let's go to the NFC South. Basically, we're playing to win. The Buccaneers have the best chance. They're playing the worst team, and they own all the tiebreakers.
66% chance to get there. 100% they have to win.
If the Bucs win, they're in. If they lose, the Falcons are playing the Saints. And the winner of that game will then, I think, be 8-9. Is that what we're playing for? 8-9? Yeah, I think it's 8-9.
So the Saints need the Buccaneers to lose. They have a 48% chance, but they still have to win.
Correct.
And the Falcons need the Buccaneers to lose. They would have a 33% chance if they win that game.
And they'd still have to beat the Saints in this Week 18 matchup. Now, the long shots in the NFC. Vikings have a long shot to make it in. They have to win their game against the Detroit Lions. I do believe they go to Detroit for Week 18. On the other side, Chicago and Green Bay are a part of this long shot to get in. Chicago, believe it or not, is not cooked just yet. If they were to beat Green Bay, or if Green Bay was to win, Green Bay would go to 9-8. We got a bunch of 8-8 teams. But if they were to lose and Chicago was to win, they would be 8-9. Same with the Vikings. They need them to be 8-9 as well. And it all depends on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are the linchpin of this long shot 7 spot in the NFC. If they win, they are in. They would be 9-8. They go to the Cardinals, who are looking really good, especially the last 30 minutes of football they played against the Philadelphia Eagles. The rest of the season can't help you. It seems like the Seattle Seahawks have the best opportunity in this long shot playing against the Arizona Cardinals. That's basically it, man. And I look at Week 18 as the first round. The teams that are already locked in, they basically have buys. Teams like San Francisco and Baltimore, they got 2 weeks worth of buys. But there are some other games to play. I mentioned coaching games. I think Jets-Patriots is a coaching game. I hear what you're saying and arguing for Belichick not to be fired, but there's a lot of writing on that wall.
Well, listen, I think it's stupid to fire Belichick, but owners get swayed by fans and media alike. I don't know if Robert Kraft is one of those. I don't think he is. But nobody likes to sit there and lose, and losing badly, though. I mean, that's getting into what I wanted to talk about today was the Giants and the Jets in the last 10 years. Giants have had 4 head coaches. And in the last 4 years, they've had 3 head coaches. So, talking about Shermer, Judge, Dybul, and McAdoo. I mean, you can't keep every 2 years trying to change something for the better. You've got to have some stability. That's the one thing the Patriots have been the best at, and the Steelers. What have the Steelers had? 3 head coaches in the last 50 years? I mean, you talk about stability.
Only 3 in my lifetime.
Yeah, only 3 in my lifetime.
Crazy.
So it's insane.
Crazy.
It's insane how stable the Steelers have been, and that's why you keep winning championships. And yes, you do have to draft well, but I think the stability of trying to get people to come play there, get free agents to want to play there. I mean, it's just that's the difficult thing. And so I wanted to just go over this with the 4 head coaches for the Giants. The Jets have had 3 head coaches over the last 10 years. So you've got 7 head coaches between those 2 New York teams. And what's the one constant? The Patriots. And what's the toughest team for the Jets to beat? The Patriots. So I think that you feed into this frenzy of we need to switch who do you want to be? For years they wanted McDaniels to be the heir to Belichick. Would you still want Josh McDaniels to be your head coach in New England?
No, not at all. He's proven he can't do that. He's more
Bill O'Brien.
No. Well, Jared Mayo has been the name that everybody floats out there, and I read this great article about he somehow got a report from his brother that showed him this report of some talking heads maybe it was you and me. I don't know. Somebody had said that Jared Mayo may rub some people the wrong way in the organization. And at first, Mayo was like, what the hell are you talking about? And this is how I am. And then started to reflect on, like, if I want to be a head coach, I got to kind of
play the game.
Play the game a little bit. So he's still kind of in the mix. Vrabel has been thrown out there as well. You're keeping the defensive coach in New England. You're keeping some of the Belichick way or the Patriot way intact.
Right.
I could see them going that way. Now, the other thing I'll ask you, does Belichick keep free agents from coming to New England because of his style?
I don't think so at all. In fact, I think that especially ones that are possible future Hall of Famers want to play for him because they know he's gonna highlight your positives. The one thing that I think Belichick does as well as anybody in the NFL is he can take broken guys and make them whole again. And I'm talking about the Randy Mosses and guys like that he can bring in here that nobody wanted a part of, and he utilizes them to the best of their ability, and he does it constantly. And I think that's the beauty of playing for a guy like that. He's different around his players than he is with the media. Everybody that I've ever talked to says what a crack up he is. He's a fun-loving guy, but he won't show you that side publicly. And I think a lot of guys that want to win want to go play for a guy like Belichick, if you're smart. I mean, and I think it's getting harder and harder to differentiate between, like, you can go, like, even if you said you wanted to play for John Gruden, how long was Gruden with the Raiders? As much as you respected him, he didn't last long. So it's very few and far between around the NFL where you say, well, that guy's got tenure and that guy's got tenure, and but all of these other guys are stopgap guys. And even McVay with the Rams is going to take a leave of absence. Yeah. So if you were somebody that as a free agent was like, well, I really want to play for that guy. He's great. He's young. He's vibrant, and he's brilliant. I think it's a lot more than that in the NFL now. Whereas the Patriot way, that's almost as offensive as people who get offended by the Cowboys when we used to say we're America's team. The only reason you say that's to offend people and irritate people because you're irritated by the Cowboys.
We do it the right way. You guys are just a bunch of goofs.
Exactly. Listen, in baseball, honestly, I thought the Braves were America's team because they're the only team other than the Cubs you could see nationally when they were on TBS back in the day. And that goes back to when they were a horrible team. We loved playing them. So if you're America's team, we love kicking the crap out of America's team. Then they rattled off 14 straight division wins. So I think people that get offended by success are people that just they don't look forward to being successful. I think people that want to play for Belichick knows that we have an opportunity to go to the postseason. 20 out of 24 years, he has taken his teams to the postseason. 9 times he's taken teams to the Super Bowl. 6 he's won. Yes, you'll say with Brady. But you and I, since we started working together, and this is going into my 10th year back here on the East Coast, every time that you would be like, Brady was playing with some of the lackluster players I've ever seen. And the coaching staff and having the constant Brady as quarterback, and I think he was like a player coach, they would do the most with. And he would rework his contract time and time again. Look at Aaron Rodgers and some of these other guys. Did they ever rework their contracts? No, they didn't. You know why? And I don't want to say it's selfish because it was like, listen, I don't have to do that for me to be successful. Maybe for the team to be successful. That's why I respect Shohei Ohtani. To have it literally written into your contract, you must use my deferred money to make this team great while I'm here, or I can leave. I think that's the beauty of it. And trust me, so I don't know if Brady and Belichick always saw eye to eye, but I think the fact that you have an unselfish guy like that proves that he wanted to stay with Belichick and win as long as he could.
I got 2 more coaching games, and I think both need to win to keep their jobs or get their jobs. Vegas, you want Antonio Pierce?
I want him as my coach.
Me too.
I think I've watched that team. I respect that those players want to play for that guy. Yeah. I think anytime you say someone's an interim coach puts pressure not just on the players but on the coaching staff. But I think here's the thing that I've known over the last 25 years of doing this. So many coaches on your staff will backstab you to get your job. And that's the toughest part about being a head coach, baseball manager, a head coach in the NBA. Dudes sitting next to you are the guys you can't trust at all. And you have to try to surround yourself by great people. You know how difficult that is?
That's crazy.
So I think that for Antonio Pierce to be this close to getting that job, and listen, as much as we think that Mark Davis is goofy, he makes that decision. That's his decision. And you don't know the people in his circles that may sway him to somebody else. Oh, this isn't the right guy. This isn't the guy you want to be the face of the organization. That's part of this. Is a lot of it is politics. But I think as far as what I've watched from his football players, they love playing for that guy because I think he knows he's managing men as well as trying to do the X's and O's.
The last one I got for you, if they win, they are in. The Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. If they lose, Sean McDermott keep his job?
Yes. Yes, I think so. I think that guy's an excellent guy as far as managing those egos and stuff like that. It's not easy. And they've been through a lot. The DeMar Hamlin thing and all the other stuff, the emotions, the highs and lows of the last couple of years, I think that he's done a great job up there. He's put Buffalo back to where when I was still playing, Buffalo was one of the best teams and talked about teams in the NFL. A few years ago, when I got this job, the Buffalo Bills were a joke. I don't think they want to return to those days, so I think he keeps his job.
Big game. That's the
I think they're
one.
all big games. I mean, even for some of these teams, we've talked about the teams with the losing records, the teams that have already been eliminated. I've been on teams that were horrible. Before we won the World Series in 90, we finished 5th in 89. And you were still, the last 2 weeks of the season, fighting for a place on your roster the next year. So I think all of these games are important. So a lot of these guys will be happy to play those games. So, you talked about the Pro Bowl earlier. This is for some of these guys, this is their Super Bowl. This is their Pro Bowl game. Some of these guys are never going to step on an NFL field again.
Yeah.
So I think that you're going to see a lot of hard-fought games and, guys that at the end of the day, some of them are going to retire. Some of these guys are never going to get a chance to play again. So they're going to leave it all out there this week. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait for this week.
Mr. Bob Joyce is going to join us next. He was there with the UConn women. He is the voice of UConn women's basketball. So Bob Joyce will join us next on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on Fox Sports Radio, 97.9 ESPN and 1300 New Haven. Bob Joyce next.